All right, let's dig into a topic that's, well, it's not just about food, is it? It's really about the soul of a nation, Indian agriculture. I mean, have you ever stopped to think about how a country with over 1 billion people actually feeds itself? Or what kind of story, full of ancient traditions and modern revolutions, is behind the food that ends up on your plate? Well, we're about to find out.
Okay, let's kick things off with a number that'll really set the scene. Get this, 2/3. That's the chunk of India's population whose entire life is directly connected to the land. And, we're not just talking about farmers here. This is everyone. Laborers, traders, entire communities. It's a massive figure that just goes to show how deeply agriculture is woven into the very fabric of Indian life.
So why is this such a big deal? I mean, why does it matter so much? Well, it's simple, really. In India, agriculture isn't just another box to check in the economy. It's the foundation. It's literally what the nation is built on.
Think of it like a massive economic engine. Its main job, of course, is feeding over 1 billion people. No small feat. But it does so much more. It's the starting point for huge industries, like the entire cotton textile industry. That all begins in a simple field. And then, looking outwards, India's farming power is clear to see. It sends out these amazing high-value products, tea, coffee, spices, all over the world. Farming in India isn't some new thing. It's a story that's been unfolding for thousands of years. And you can bet that over all that time, the ways people farm have changed. A lot. So let's take a look at the 3 main types of farming you'll see today, from methods that are truly ancient to some that are totally cutting edge.
Okay, first up, we've got the oldest and most, elemental way of doing things. Primitive subsistence farming. This is agriculture stripped down to its absolute basics. Just picture it, a family working a small patch of land using simple tools like digging sticks. Their survival? It's completely in the hands of their own hard work, the unpredictable monsoon rains, and whatever the soil naturally provides.
And this right here is a perfect look at that slash and burn technique. In some parts of India, they call it juming. So basically, it's a cycle. Farmers clear a piece of land, they grow crops on it for a few seasons until the soil gets tired out, and then they just move on. They leave that patch alone so nature can do its thing and bring the soil back to life. It's really like a dance with nature.
Now, what's so interesting here is the contrast. You've got that ancient method right next to its polar opposite. On one side, you have subsistence farming. It's all about survival, right? Just feeding your family. But on the other side, you've got commercial farming. And that is a whole different ballgame. It's a business, plain and simple, using all the modern stuff like high-yield seeds and fertilizers on huge farms, all for one reason, to sell and make a profit.
And then there's this special, really powerful type of commercial farming called plantation agriculture. I mean, just imagine these huge rolling hills, and as far as you can see, it's just one single crop, like a massive tea garden or a giant coffee estate. These aren't small family plots, they're huge investments, and they act like a direct bridge between the farm and big industry.
But here's the thing. None of this farming just happens by chance. It's not random. It all follows this very precise ancient rhythm. It's like a calendar that's been set by the climate itself, and it's all broken down into 3 totally distinct cropping seasons.
Yeah, you can almost think of the farming year as a play in 3 acts. Act 1 is Rabi. That's the winter season. This is when we get our essential grains, like wheat. Then, Act 2. Kharif. This one kicks off with the monsoon rains, which are absolutely crucial for crops that need a lot of water, like rice and cotton. And then, squeezed right in between them, you get this short but really lively summer season called Zaid. It's perfect for things that grow fast, like watermelons and cucumbers.
Okay, so we've covered the how and the when of farming in India. So what's next? Well, now it's time for the what. Let's take a little tour of the major crops that are pretty much the lifeblood of the country, grown across all these different seasons and farming styles. The sheer variety of what India grows is, well, it's incredible. We can basically break it all down into a few key groups. You've got your food grains, rice, wheat, the absolute staples of the Indian diet. Then there are pulses for protein. You've got cash crops like sugarcane that power industries. Of course, there are the world-famous drinks like tea and coffee. And finally, you have the fiber crops, like cotton, that literally give us the clothes on our backs. So let's talk about rice for a second. It's a Kharif crop, and it is, without a doubt, the king of the Indian dinner table. And get this, India is the second biggest producer of rice on the entire planet.
And it all starts in those classic flooded paddy fields you see in pictures. They absolutely need that high heat and humidity to grow.
And this is where you can really see the genius of India's seasonal farming. Let's compare rice to wheat, which is the second most important cereal. So rice loves the sun and it loves water, right? That makes it a perfect monsoon crop. Wheat, on the other hand, is a Rabi crop. It does way better in the cooler, drier growing season. It's just a perfect example of how you match the right crop to the right climate.
But, and this is a really important point, this incredibly complex and productive system didn't just appear out of nowhere. No way. It was intentionally shaped and modernized through a whole series of major reforms, especially in the years right after India gained its independence.
Yeah, these reforms really came in waves, and each one changed everything. The Green Revolution? That was an absolute game changer. It brought in new high-yield seeds and technology that just sent food production through the roof. Next, you had land development programs that helped pull together all these little scattered farms to make them more efficient. And then, crucially, a financial safety net was put in place. Things like crop insurance, special credit cards for farmers, and the minimum support price to make sure they get a fair price for what they grow.
You know, maybe one of the most incredible parts of this whole story of reform was the Bhoodan Gramdan movement. This was something different. It wasn't a government policy handed down from on high. This was a social revolution, driven by conscience. It was started by this visionary named Vinoba Bhave, and his idea was simple but powerful. He asked wealthy landowners to voluntarily give some of their land to their landless neighbors. It was this amazing experiment in social justice, and people called it the bloodless revolution.
And that really brings us to our final and maybe most important thought. After thousands of years of farming and decades of massive reform, the story isn't over, not by a long shot. The challenges are huge. A growing population, a changing climate, shifting global markets, the pressure is really on. So as we look ahead, we have to ask ourselves, what's the next great agricultural revolution going to look like for India? Will it be all about tech or sustainability or something we haven't even thought of yet? The answer, whatever it is going to shape the future not just of a nation, but of a huge part of the human race.